Bonjour! My name is Will.
And I'm James. This is our recap for episode 5 of The Amazing Race.
We're going to talk about how terrible I am at driving stick shift.
How we felt a little silly in Chantilly.
And how we stepped on up to get 4th place in this leg of the race.
As you know by now, we landed ourselves a back-to-back first place finish in Asuncion, which meant we were going to be on the first flight to Paris alongside Michelle and Victoria, Leo and Alana, and Madison and Riley.
At this point, we went to Buenos Aires for our layover before Paris, and the bottom 4 teams went to Rio de Janeiro for their layover before Paris. And so in Paraguay, we didn't see the teams after that. So we all went our separate ways. We knew that our flight was 15 minutes ahead, which really isn't that big
Not a lot of time
of a lead. And so we knew that once we landed in Paris, it was like balls to the wall. We got to go and get out of the airport parking lot.
But there was so much that happened on our flight to Paris. We had so much fun with Michelle and Victoria. We were very much looking forward to sitting with them on the airplane and drinking a lot of wine together. And unfortunately, our seats were separated between the bathrooms, so our plan to enjoy the flight together did not really happen.
But what we did do is on Air France there was a messaging system on the screen of your seat, so you can message different seats. So we were talking to Michelle and Victoria the entire flight, like, hey, what's going on? They were literally 10 feet in front of us, but we're just sitting there messaging on the back of our seats for the 14-hour flight.
I think another thing to point out, we spent a lot of time with Madison and Riley in the airport. As you know, we have a pretty strong alliance with them at this point, and did whatever we could to print off maps. We talked to some travel blogger that was in the airport who was able to look up the chateau for us, give us additional information.
To be honest, we got really good directions because we knew we were going to the chateau from the airport. So we got really solid maps that we printed out, highlighted the route, and we knew exactly where we needed to go because I want to say it was 30 miles outside.
Yes, which was ultimately an hour drive.
Yeah, it was an hour drive. We definitely took advantage of everything at our disposal in Buenos Aires for sure.
But like Will said, it was a 14-hour flight and it was really rough to get some sleep. So not only are we going from a really hot South American climate to snowy weather in the middle of November Paris, it was just a lot of change, a huge shift to,
culture,
4 legs
language,
in
money,
South America.
temperature, everything was a shift because we had been in South America plus the Caribbean for 4 legs so far. And so going to this was like a huge shift. And I think we all kind of assumed that it would be a self-drive, mainly because we had to drive ourselves. And that's kind of the history of the race. And Michelle is a luxury cars saleswoman, and so she knows how to drive stick, and so she's at the airport with us going, if you need help, just let me know and I'll come over there and help you. Madison and Riley are obviously in first. They get out very easily. And then we also find out that Leo owns a stick shift car, so we're at the
bottom tier of those 4 teams.
Like at the disadvantage because we hired somebody to teach us how to drive stick before we left.
Hold on. You're not giving yourself enough credit. You knew how to drive stick shift. We took lessons before we left because I had never drove stick shift before. And we learned through this old school European
1970
car. Old school.
Such an old car.
When we land in Paris, the car that we were driving was brand new 2018, 2019 stick shift. So the functions of what you would feel when you're changing gears was not how we remembered it. So it was definitely a learning curve. And yeah.
So if you look on the episode, the far left gear, I want to say was park or maybe neutral. I don't remember. I can't picture right now, but the farthest one was not first gear. So you would shift it to try and go to first, but I got real nervous that I was going all the way to get into that park/neutral. I don't remember what it was. That I would just be in third gear the entire time. So when we're leaving the airport, I get into third gear. We're in the car, out of the parking spot. Everything is going okay. but then you
The moment
see
you get on the incline.
these ramps out of the freaking parking garage. You go up, swirly, swirly, like 6 floors. I want to say we're at the bottom.
Yeah.
And the second you hit the hill, the car would stall. And so I understood, like, something was wrong, obviously. Like, something was wrong. And I could not figure out what was wrong. And I had to get help because I pulled out second behind Madison and Riley. They obviously
Zoomed out of
They
there.
get out of the airport real quick. And so the rest of us, it's me, then Michelle and Victoria, Leo and Alana. Both of them are really good at driving stick. I'm blocking their path. There's nothing I can do because if I reverse, Michelle and Victoria are in my way. I just need to go forward. And so Leo comes running and,
sprinting, not running.
like coming for the car to try and help. And he moves our car up the ramp into the next parking structure level.
Like literally the entryway to the next
so it was super helpful, super grateful, definitely a high stress, high emotion situation.
Drama.
At that point, like, they pass us, we're like, y'all go, I'm not doing well, like, emotionally, because I'm just stressed. But after they leave and they pass us, we practiced in the garage for a while, just kind of getting a feel of the car, feel of where we were.
I do need to put out there that I did try. I gave it a go, and I was having the same problem. I figured if I continued to try, I would get into the headspace that Will's in, and that would not be productive. So as long as Will could continue to get a feel for the car, and I remained calm and as supportive as possible, then I had the absolute faith that we would overcome that.
Like, you were super supportive the entire time. We didn't argue. It was just me being panic mode, no idea what to do, and like no like animosity towards Leo. Obviously, like, I needed help in that moment, and so him helping was a huge asset for us as a team, but also it helped them because obviously I'm blocking the way and they've got to get out as well. So like,
I mean, I was more upset about it just because I was, like, protective of your emotions. It had nothing to necessarily do with, like, Leo or what he was doing. It was, like,
just stressful situation.
I was just trying to be protective of how you were feeling because I could tell you were very stressed.
I was pushing the stick into third gear instead of first gear.
Baby, you got this. Once we were on flat ground,
it was good.
Smooth sailing to the chateau.
We got there without a problem, never got lost.
The map we printed off with Madison in the airport on our layover was super handy. We had already, pegged the route from the airport to the chateau, and
non-issue.
Yeah, non-issue. We left the
airport
BS
behind us
at the airport.
At that moment, walking away from it, we both recognized that as a team, we had just performed really well as a pair. Like, not getting frustrated with each other, like, being supportive of each other. Obviously, I was having a harder time, and James is not mad at me. He's being constantly supportive of, like, it's okay, because I feel like I kept apologizing.
It was so cute. He was like, I'm so sorry, James. I'm so sorry.
And it was us against a problem, and we had no solution in that moment, and I couldn't figure it out. So
yeah,
it was.
But you did figure it out.
Yeah, and to say that, like, for us, being able to bounce back from that and say that, yes, this happened, recognize that we had a struggle, now let's move on. It didn't affect us the rest of the leg.
Nope.
For the most part, because we were able to, continue to be there for each other and get through the rest of the task instead of kind of arguing the rest of the day. So getting to the chateau, like, what beautiful.
It was spectacular. So majestic, straight out of a fairy tale, so romantic. We stopped to kiss, soaked it in for a minute. I think that was a way for us to be like, high five, we did it. We moved past it. We put the stick shift drama behind us. We rip open the clue. It's a roadblock. I was already down one roadblock. Will had already done two, so I knew it was my turn to do it again. Going into it, I kind of figured that it was going to be the task that it was. We've seen it on previous seasons of The Amazing Race, so I was really excited to enter the chateau's gallery. And this was one of my favorite parts of the episode, was Leo talking about Will and I being left at the airport, probably still stuck on the ramp, to the point where we walk in.
As he's talking about us,
was hysterical. Love you, Leo. Such a good moment. Thank you for that. Great comedic timing.
Great editing. I mean, like, that whole interaction with Leo going in there was, like, not super dramatic. Like, we were able to kind of, you know, move past it by him asking the question, like, what was wrong? I was like, I was starting in third gear.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. And so, to be super honest, I was not mad at Leo. I had, like, you don't have to help me, but also recognize that I am blocking your way.
Yeah.
So somebody does have to help me because I can't figure this out. And I think walking in there, I was very grateful that he did help. That was kind of the end of this whole stick shift drama with us and Leo. Not that it even was drama. It was just kind of like we were a plumbing issue, as Leo would say.
They clogged the ramp.
I mean, yes, it was awkward for the first 5 seconds, but we were able to, you know, be like, this is what happened, and now we're moving on.
So while you are, you know, sitting aside with Leo, I am walking into the gallery of the chateau. The ceiling was so tall, so high, I literally think you could stack, like, Will 10 times, and it would be the height of the room. It was incredible, and just the wall from the floor up was just filled with such beautiful art pieces that I wanted to soak it all in. I really wanted to just take a minute, but I also knew we needed to maintain whatever time we did have over the second flight. So I appreciated what I was seeing, but also at the same time was like,
gotta go.
Gotta get a move on.
Yeah. The downside for anybody who didn't do the roadblock was you didn't get to go into
The party.
the pretty room. Literally, like,
You didn't
I was
really,
in there
yeah.
with Leo and Chi, and we saw nothing besides the door and then y'all coming out and getting your guesses in, and that's literally it. We didn't get to see any of the pretty stuff. Then you did it in like 5 minutes? 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I did my first attempt, and I quickly realized, like, once I brought that lovely lady to the judge, that her hair wasn't up, like the painting that I had saw. I think I was just so quick to kind of throw myself into it and see if it would stick, and it didn't. And going back the second time, I had a better understanding of what I was looking for, paying attention to the close details, and that's why we were able to get it on my second attempt. In and out.
Honestly think we were at that roadblock for
Not even 10 minutes.
maybe 5.
Yeah, it was so quick.
You brought one out. You brought the first girl out literally right after you went in, and then the second one shortly after that. It was about 5 to 8 minutes that we were there.
Yeah.
It was so fast. Leaving the roadblock, going to the pies, it was quite a long walk.
No, when I say we were off and running,
run.
we were off and running. I actually Google mapped it before we started our recap. It was about 0.3, 0.4 miles.
It's like half a mile.
From the entryway of the chateau to the actual restaurant where we made the pies.
That's pretty far.
It's
far enough.
quite far.
Not that far, but far enough.
Yeah.
To where it was snowing and cold. And,
Yes.
but when you go into the pie shop, Verdu Garden, there are pie stations with 4 pies on each table, and then these little carafes of whipping cream, and your goal was to just whip the cream as fast as you can to make up the whipped cream or the Chantilly cream to make 4 pies, 2 pies each. And dear God, my forearms after that were on fire.
Unbelievable how much of a workout that was. I mean, you even saw Madison and Riley talking to I'm going to say the pie guy, and they were like, let us see your forearms. Like, it
Massive.
was, yeah, definitely a nice workout.
I can't imagine making 15 or 16 of those in a day.
No. But we had so much fun doing this. We loved our little chef outfits. We, you know,
Our cute
again,
little outfit.
now that we were moving forward from the bumpy start of the leg, we really just wanted to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And boy, did we just goof off a lot. Like
you're literally standing there, and your only goal is to just move your arm as quick as you can. Like, that's the only thing you have to do.
Yep.
And so why not have a good time and
laugh
crack
about
jokes
it
and laugh, and, you know, I don't know. We were just moving around our table. I was going really fast. I finished both of my pies before you. And so when I'm going whisk, 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 whisk in the episode, it's literally me waiting for
Pumping
you to
me up.
finish. We did it. We did it. And, you know, regardless of how hurt
our arms were,
like on fire your arms were, like, it was just a task that was just get it done and get out of there.
Exactly, which Madison and Riley were the first ones to leave. And on their way out, they were kind enough to divulge some information that once we were done with our pies, we would be walking into a tent where they throw pies at you. So you had to make sure you held onto those pies pretty firm. And that's another reason why social relationships and alliances are so helpful on The Amazing Race. So thank you, Madison and Riley, for that information. They also told Hung and Chi. And so when we were finished with our pies, we knew to anticipate being pied. And that was hilarious because I had never been pied before. Not like that, I don't think.
We ran through that.
Oh, yeah.
We got through the little curtains to go and put our pies at the back. We were like gripping with all of our energy and we ran back to the wall. I don't think I got a lot of pie on my face. I got it all over my clothes. But, Lord. And we were so worried about dropping those pies.
The cream was really good.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was very delicious. I mean, even Aparna said it in the episode. Like, it was tasty. Yeah. Definitely unlike any cream you've had before. Like, it was good. So good. I can see why it's famous.
And, well, the nice thing is that we had outfits on so that, you know, you're not getting pie all over your nice race clothes. Mm-hmm. But the shirts that we wore for this
oh my gosh,
were those blue, like a really weird fabric, and
from Target. Like, it was just, you know,
like a $5 shirt.
Yeah.
So we wore them underneath the aprons, but it just seeped into those shirts. After this leg, we washed them once, and after they dried, it smelled like crusty, like curdled milk vomit. We threw them away immediately after we tried to wash them.
But it was funny because we weren't the only team that felt this way.
Everybody started to smell like curdled Chantilly
hair
cream.
Started to smell weird. Yeah.
Because you did the pies, and then, as Phil says in the episode, drive 1 hour back to Paris.
Let's talk about that drive.
Hold on. In that 1 hour, all of this milk is drying on your clothes.
Just sitting on you.
Then you go do a challenge, it's still drying. And then you drive to go to the pit stop, it's still drying. And then you go and do all the other things you got to do, and it's still drying. And then you finally take off your clothes, and you stank.
Okay.
Because the milk is curdled.
Okay. They get that we stunk. Like,
but it was so bad.
It was bad. But let's talk about the drive back into Paris. Sure, the drive was beautiful, and we had a map that was able to help us get somewhat back to Paris. But you have to think the map we had was only from the airport to the chateau, so we kind of knew the general direction. Before we left the airport in Paris, I grabbed a map off a little kiosk, and I thought it was going to be like a tourist map of Paris. Mm-hmm. And so we thought that we exited at one point before we even entered the city to ask for directions, I think, or...
No, we didn't ask for directions.
Why did we pull aside?
Because I accidentally popped the hood of the car.
Okay, so we pull aside because you popped the hood of the car. Oh, this car was a nightmare. It makes Claudia from Bogota just seem so much better.
We miss her.
Yeah. So we're entering Paris, and we took the wrong exit.
There were two options. One was take the highway to go around the city of Paris, come around the back, and be in the
Bercy. Which was what we were supposed to do.
100%. Did you tell them what kind of map it was, though?
No, so I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that point. Okay, so we are driving through Paris. Not around Paris, through the city of Paris. Congested streets, foot traffic. It was a lot to take in.
One-way lanes that don't have any English. Which way am I going?
So Will's in the front seat going, James, I need to know, like, which direction are we going? And I would look at the map and I would look around at our surroundings, and I was so thrown for a loop. It was a subway map. It wasn't a map of, like, tourist attractions in Paris. It was the subway map. But it had these really cute, like clip art graphics of different spots throughout the city. That is what we used to navigate. We used clip art pictures on a map to find our way through Paris.
Yep. Very resourceful. I will say this, though. That map was not to scale.
Nope.
the roads would be like bunched in together, but in reality they were like miles apart. Yep. Skipping a few roads, there was things missing.
Some names wouldn't. Yep, no, some names wouldn't be on there.
And about halfway in the middle of Paris, we're in the city driving around. We're obviously we weren't lost. We just were having a difficult time understanding where our turns were because it was pretty much a straight shot.
Yes.
But the roads would then stop being roads and turn into bus lanes and then also become one lane roads that you had to then turn and be like, okay, now I got to get back on that road, but how? Point being that this map, I had no idea that it was a subway map for about the first half of our time in the city. And then James is like quiet and he's like, this map is really confusing. And so I'm like, give it here. Let me see if I can read it. And we're like, oh my God, this is a subway map. This is not
we did it.
We did.
I made it work because the last thing we wanted to do was stop and ask someone for directions because that adds more time and I didn't feel like we necessarily needed to. So I was committed to using that subway map to find the neighborhood of Bercy to get to Muse des Arts Foraines.
We were about a kilometer, half a mile away from the games. We did stop once to ask someone, and that was just for like making sure.
Asking was like yelling close out the window.
Yeah. It was we asked somebody right when we were there because you had to park the car in a parking structure and then run over to the thing. So we wanted to be sure where we were. We did ask for help, but it was only right when we were outside of the parking structure.
But luckily it was like right there. So that was a huge sigh of relief. We were done with the car. No more self-drive.
Oh my God.
We parked that car and got the hell out of there.
After I parked that car, I think I like unclenched for the first time in like 5 hours.
But like, you were still a little tense. Like I think it was tense. Just a lot.
It was just a lot to deal with because it had been like 2.5, 3 hours in a car.
But then you're being thrown into a roadblock.
Like, hour there and then an hour and a half. It took us probably an extra 30 minutes. And that's why you see Hung and Chi passed us going to the games because it took us a little extra time
getting there. So we went down from third to fourth, but that is what it is. So we saw our third yield. So the yield wasn't used. We didn't really have a reason to use it either. It's our second roadblock of the leg, and because I did the first one, Will had to do this one. Did you have fun? I was jealous.
I love fair games, like carnival games.
You aced, like you were so good. Like you're a pro.
Yeah, I did the knocking over the pyramid in one try. I did the horse racing in one try. The only one that did multiple tries was the balls in the mouth. I want to say it took like 4 or 5 times to get it.
But yeah, we were, again, I think this was a task that we just kind of were in and out. It didn't take you much time at all. And you got that ticket punched.
The clicker.
Do you still have that?
I wish I still had that ticket.
When we ripped open the clue after this roadblock, were you relieved to know that we were going to the pit stop?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And to know that it was a taxi ride over was just fantastic. It had just been such a very long day for the two of us. Not that we argued at all the entire time.
Mm-mm.
Like, not once. It was just that it was a very high stress, emotionally driven, like panicky, overwhelming day to where a lot of times I just like want to make sure that I kept us safe in the car, but also the crew in the car, trying to keep everybody safe. It was a lot of responsibility on me as a driver. So it was just a lot of just being completely overwhelmed with the situation. So
and my goal was just to be supportive and to let you know I was there for you, and even if it was with a subway map.
Yep. So we did it.
We did it. We survived the leg. We survived Paris. Checked into the pit stop 4th place. Even Phil poked a little fun at us about having a warrant out for our arrest.
Oh, God.
I will say for this leg in particular, because it was so spread out and we didn't see a lot of teams and it felt like we were in the car forever going through the city, we really had no idea where we were in the lineup. So when we checked in and found out we were 4th, I would say it was kind of a relief.
To be honest, I thought we were 6th.
Yeah.
I thought we were in 6. I thought Michelle and Victoria would have passed us because they were close behind us at the pies. And she's really good at stick shift. I assumed that maybe one other team could have come up and passed us. My assumption where we were was 5th or 6th, and so for 4th place, because we didn't lose any space in being those first 4 teams. So I will
right
right
in the middle of the pack, which I think is a healthy spot to be. I don't know about all of you at home, but when we watched this episode, we cried. I think the last 10 to 15 minutes, you experienced a myriad of emotion, because not only are you so excited for Haley and KAYLYNN, who made such a huge comeback, and they're so positive through it all and so adorable when they get to the pit stop and that shock on their face. You're excited for them, but then that realization of Michelle and Victoria coming in last, being eliminated, you start to feel heartbreak, and you are sad, and then hearing the impact that the race had on their relationship, being sisters, and
it was just really sad. I mean, we have it in our journal that like we would have never U-turned Michelle and Victoria. We were really close with them as just human beings. Not knowing what they were going through was hard to watch, and then also seeing them be eliminated was heartbreaking.
Because we really had such a close relationship with those girls.
We had so much fun with them.
We were so fortunate to meet up with them a week ago for some coffee, and Michelle brought us to, of all places, a French cafe where we got to enjoy some pastries and some coffee.
Coffee, croissants.
Yeah, they're amazing. Such a wonderful, strong team, and I think that about covers our episode 5 recap. We survived. We are off to Berlin. Stay tuned for our episode 6 recap.
Bye, everybody.